Welcome to the Jaguar Podcast, a show where we discuss all things related to Duval County's finest NFL football team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Move 42, set, fight!
Duval, baby! Hey everybody, this is Andrew and welcome to episode 108 of the Jaguar Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the fiasco that's going on in Washington right now with the Washington football team. I know I'm a little late to the party. You know, they announced a couple of weeks ago that they were finally changing their name and changing to the Washington football team.
Idiot!
And, oh my lord, this is just the dumbest decision in the world. And some people are actually praising Dan Snyder for this and like, oh, this is a great transitional name, you know. It's like, really? Did you guys really think of this name, the Washington football team? That's why we have Dan Snyder in charge and all these like really smart people and they come up with the Washington football team. Are you kidding me? And the reason why I did this episode is because, you know, I live in Virginia. I'm pretty close to Ashburn where the Washington football team, you know, does their training camp and, you know, they play in Landover, Maryland. So I have a lot of Washington fans around me. And, you know, also my father was a huge Washington fan. May he rest in peace. But he really got me into football and I was watching a lot of, you know, the Washington team early on when I was growing up. And I'd watch, you know, them. I think when I really started watching them was probably around the mid-90s in 1995. So they had like Gus Frerotte and Heath Schuler, and they weren't a very good football team at all. I mean, to say the least. So my dad was a huge fan, and Dan Snyder, when this guy took over the team, he just really destroyed the team. And in addition to this whole name fiasco that's going on right now, there was a report that was released by the Washington Post, and essentially 15, I believe it was, women came forward saying that they were sexually harassed and the environment was toxic. And it's just like, you know, Dan Snyder's got to go. I mean, that's just the bottom line. This guy is a terrible football owner. You know, my dad, you know, kind of rewinding back to when, you know, I was watching the football team with my dad. You know, he ended up getting season tickets. I believe this is around, 1997 when Snyder took over the team. And he just ended up giving them away, or he just didn't want to pay for them anymore because the fan experience sucked. FedEx Field is one of the worst, you know, stadiums for like a fan experience. I've been there. It's just terrible. And it's just one of those situations where he was just like, I'm not going to pay $40 for parking. You know, they just price gouged. Dan Snyder just price gouged all of the fans. I mean, jacked everything up, and it just wasn't fun anymore. You know, you could just, why sit in the rain at FedEx Field and watch the team just lose, you know, and put a bad product out there? You know, why spend all that money? So he ended up just giving up the season tickets. And you know, luckily the Jacksonville Jaguars, you know, were an expansion team and started around 1995. So I started watching them as well and just really getting involved with them because I'm a Navy brat. You know, I lived in Jacksonville for 4 years. I started watching Jacksonville, you know, when I was, you know, in South Carolina. So that was when they started with like Mark Brunell and like the Natron Means days. And those were fun times. And but it's just a shame to see just the total shit show that's going on right now with the Washington organization, and especially, you know, going back to the situation with the sexual harassment of those 15 women, they came forward. It's just a shame. I know how I would feel if I had a daughter that worked at the Washington organization and that stuff was going on. That would make me extremely angry, would probably make me want to hurt somebody. And, I'm not advocating violence at all, but I know if I was a father and that kind of stuff was going on and my daughter was affected by that type of behavior, I would not like that at all. I'd get super angry. I want to do something bad, but not advocating violence. But Dan Snyder is just inexcusable at this point. I think he needs to go. I think this is just the I think it's the perfect time, honestly, with the whole situation with the name. And now he's changed the name from the Washington Redskins to the Washington football team. And I feel like this guy is just, flicking the bird to Native American advocacy groups. He's just kind of flicking them off. He's just like, this is what I can do. Look, I won't change it. I won't change the name to something serious. I'll just change it to the Washington football team. It's like, come on, dude. Like, you're killing me, right? I think the NFL needs to vote this guy out and they need to replace him and just get him out. It's just a bad situation. Again, I know this is nothing related to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but there is some tie-in. And, I think Shad Khan has his moments. I think he has taken some, plays out of the Dan Snyder playbook, for lack of a better word, in terms of the whole, London game situation and the kind of state of the stadium. I mean, I went to TIAA Bank Field last year in September, and I was not impressed with the fan experience, to say the least. My girlfriend then, but now wife, went to the stadium and it was really hot. I mean, it just was not enjoyable. People were passing out. It just was not a good situation. There's no canopy in the stadium, so we were just getting pelted by the sun. 100-degree temperatures, people passing out. And it wasn't cheap. I mean, the tickets were not cheap. And people are going to get tired of that. And, when Shad kind of decided to take 2 games, or I think it was 2 or 3 games to London, that pissed a lot of people off. And, I feel like he was kind of taking, like I said, a play out of the Dan Snyder playbook. Dan Snyder's threatened to take the team out of Landover, and go somewhere else, which is just crazy because that stadium is funded by taxpayer money. And I'm pretty sure a portion of TIAA Bank Field is also funded by taxpayer money. And, the fans are and the community is essentially paying and financing that stadium. And Shad needs to really do a better job of making that experience better. And they're not very difficult things. Like, put more fans that actually work in the stadium, and like put a canopy up. I feel like it's not that expensive and it wouldn't be that hard to do. But he wants to do that whole lot. I think it's like H thing. I'm like, dude, just make the stadium experience better. I don't want to, risk dying at one of the games because it's freaking 100 degrees. And I feel like the same situation holds true for FedEx Field. The fan experience is awful. I've been there multiple times for concerts and for football games. It's totally disorganized. It's a mess trying to get out of there. So I feel like owners really need to do their job and really cater to the fans as much as they can and make that fan experience worth it because, we'll just stay at home and watch the game. But that's my kind of tangent on ownership and and Dan Snyder, but he's got to go. That's unacceptable. I feel like now is really like it's the perfect storm, and I feel like it's definitely possible to change the ownership there in Washington. Want to see it happen, not only because my father was a big fan, but I think the fans deserve it. This guy's just destroying the team, and you're really kind of driving it into the ground. And now we have the Washington football team. It's kind of a joke. I saw a really funny comment on a YouTube video about the whole naming situation with the Washington football team. And they said that they should change the name from the Washington football team to the Washington Letdowns. And I thought that was pretty funny. But, let me know how you feel about the whole kind of Washington fiasco and situation with the whole scandal that went on there. And then, the name change, which is just a total joke. So leave a comment on the podcast episode or YouTube video. Show your boy some love. Subscribe to the channel. Leave me some feedback on Apple Podcasts. It always helps me when I put these episodes together. Stay safe. Stay away from the pandemic. Go Jaguars, and I'll see you next time.
Let me get that. JYD coming up with the big sack. Quarterbacks beware, we on the prowl. Game day night, you could hear it in our growl. Intimidation on to keep their hearts racing. Eating other teams live on TV front of the nation. Spectacular defensive.
This episode is available on the Jaguar Podcast YouTube channel. So if you stop by, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like. Also, these episodes are available on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and other major podcast distributors as well. So if you don't mind, please leave me a review and some feedback. I'd really appreciate that. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, my Twitter handle is @JagwarPodcast. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. This is Andrew signing off. Cheers.